Hey guys, Sangka here, and today I wanted to do something a little different and commentate over one of the first 18s runs that I've done in time this season 4. I wanted to watch over the gameplay to kind of just help me improve and learn, but also to help hopefully inform and entertain any of you guys that are wanting to push keys this season. So without further ado, we're already in the first pull of, this is the 18 workshop. This week was Fortified, Sanguine, Quaking, and the new Awakened Affix. Well, it's not that new anymore. But the first pull is pretty dangerous. There's a lot of damage that can go out. The very first priority, though, that you should have are the bomb tonks. They have a detonate cast that if you do let finish is going to do a ton of damage to the party. So you want to make sure that you're interrupting them. And because it's Sanguine, our tank is just kiting out of the Sanguine pools. These buzzsaws that are going around can be pretty annoying. They don't do that much damage, but they can knock you into things that do. So some of the tonks will put out mines, and you can just get knocked into a mine and die, especially since it's fortified. So the first boss here, that it's not tyrannical, but the first boss here are the Duel Robots. You see everybody piling behind No Mercy for you, because as soon as he activates, he's going to target a player with a thrust, like a charge. And so we're trying to bait that into the wall so that melees don't have to go running to Timbuktu to get damage done. So it's just an efficiency thing. So nobody's tanking No Mercy. The tank is going to kite around the pummeler to make sure they get the diamond debuff or diamond buff off of the pummeler, so we can actually DPS it down. So with that said, everybody else is focusing No Mercy for the sole purpose that he does fixate a player and spew out flame jets that do a ton of damage, even on non-fortified or non-tyrannical weeks. So make sure that you're planning defensives and healing CDs around No Mercy's flame jets, because then after he's done fixating and does the flame jets, he's going to target a player, and then he's going to do the charge again. So make sure that after the flame jets, you're baiting No Mercy to a wall, just so that you're being as efficient as possible with your uptime and your DPS, especially if you have lots of melee in your comp. And so as you see again, he just transitions. He'll charge, then he'll fixate and do flame vents, dealing massive amount of AoE damage, and then he'll finish, and then he'll charge. He'll pick somebody, he'll charge, and you're just trying to bait it to the wall. But after he's dead, which is great, this is pretty much smooth sailing. Pummeler, after your tank has gotten the buff off, you'll be able to actually do damage to him, and then he's just a mass of HP. As I said, with the buzzsaws though, they are around this entire fight. They don't do that much damage, but again, they can be super annoying. As you can see, there are mines dropped around the entire. They can knock you into that, and on Tyran weeks, they will kill you. So make sure to try to avoid the buzzsaws as possible. They are fatter than their hitbox is fatter than they appear, so give them adequate distance, I guess. So put it eloquently, I suppose. So after that, you get sucked down to the trash chute, and we have a little bit of miscommunication here with the tank. He wanted to skip these, and it's probably the natural reaction, because if you've ever done workshop at all, those slimes scare you, or should scare you. They did scare me the first time we cleared this, or the first time workshop came out, because they have built-in bursting. So you kill them, they burst, and then everybody dies. So you would have to really stagger them out, just like you would normally in bursting, or have cooldowns assigned. But the thing is, unlike bursting, you can LOS the damage that happens with those slimes, and there are a lot of LOS spots in this tunnel. So actually clearing this entire tunnel lets you skip even more dangerous, like actually dangerous packs later on in the dungeon. And since this is a very linear dungeon, you can't really skip a lot, even though you have the abilities of the obelisk and the pillars to skip trash. You won't have enough mob count if you skip too much. So just like King's Rest, you can't really skip a lot, so you have to really pick and choose which mobs you want to skip. So we're telling the tank to just clear all of this, and ideally you would, after you cleared the waste processing unit, the first one, you would just click the pillar and drag the mini boss to Cujo, and then back clear, which sounds like it would take longer, but there's, just because of the LOS spots, the pillars, it's just a lot easier to do it that way, I think. Again, the season's still started, so I don't necessarily know if that's the most efficient way, but it's just the way that I've had the most success with. So yeah, there was a little bit of miscommunication. Some people died. We had to run back. But now we are taking the pillar with the mini. This is the Fear mini boss. A tip for you balance druids out there: if you're running trees, which you probably should be running trees, for the Fear boss, it's very likely that your tank is going to be targeted with a Fear. And if they get feared while all the little ads and the mini boss are hitting them in the back, it's very easy for them to die. So as soon as you drop into the Shadow Realm with the fear ads and whatnot, just drop your trees. They'll take aggro. If the tank does get the debuff, your healer doesn't have to automatically dispel them, and then he can maybe dispel himself or other people. And then your trees will just take it, so that your tank has no danger of dying whatsoever. You burn down the minis, and then you take the boss. So as I said before, we just drag it, and we're going to back clear. This is, again, a little bit of miscommunication here. The tank wanted to back clear now because he's wanting to basically buy time to lust on Cujo. But as you're going to, like, if you've done the Cujo fight, you do a lot of hiding from Cujo, so you don't, in my opinion, you don't get very much uptime on Cujo to benefit from lust. He does have a lot of like HP, and on Tyran weeks it especially takes a long time because you're constantly hiding from him. But we tell him, no, don't, just do the boss. We'll have lust for the next boss that actually does matter. So you see, after this pull, instead of clearing more, we're going to go to Cujo, I believe. Yes, we're gonna go do Cujo. So for this fight, it's as I said before, you have to do a lot of hiding from Cujo because he's going to do basically what No Mercy does, but maybe on a like ×10 scale, because it will just outright kill you, no matter like what defensives, like save for a full immunity. Standing outside of this vent flames will just kill you. So boxes drop down, you hide when he's doing the vent flames, and then you're able to DPS him down again. A new box will drop down, he's gonna do his vent flame, you LOS. The only other mechanic that you have to worry about is that after the very first time, he does this leap. If you are near the new box, as you see one of the boxes burning and the one box isn't, which is the one that we're going to be hiding around. If you are near the new box and he leaps on you, you're going to break that box. Then you won't have a place to safely hide from him. So when he does the leap, after he does his vent flame and everybody goes out and starts DPSing, he's going to jump. He's going to pick random players and jump to. Make sure that you're not standing where the new box is. On Tyran weeks, This hurts. This leap hurts. So you don't want to be stacked with other people, and you want to pop something. Just help your healer out. As a Boomie, pop bark, put into bear. Just do something because it actually does quite a bit of damage, and you don't really want to burden your healer like that, especially because, as I said, on Tyran, this fight is pretty long. The healer has to dispel the tank of a debuff that does AoE to the whole party. The leap is basically AoE to the whole party. The vent is the venting is AoE to the whole party if you get ticked by it. So there's just a lot of spiky healing. So anything that you can mitigate, you should, essentially. But yeah, after hiding for like the 500th time, we finally kill him, and then we can get back to the trash. So as I said before, the slimes have a built-in bursting, but unlike the affix bursting, you can actually LOS this. So get them all low, have like a demon hunter with big leech or like a rogue with cloak, finish them all off, and then you can hide behind the pillars, and as you can see, nobody takes any damage whatsoever. This next pack though, just as a kind of like an asterisk note, I can't talk, there's a dog in there. I don't think that they are connected. So I would have to check the MDI tool, or the MDT tool, method dungeon tool. Yep, I get it. To see if they're connected. But on bolstering, and I only say that because this week is bolstering, you might want to pull the dog out by itself, or do it with the other dog and the waste processing unit, and have like a triple pull there, so that you don't bolster that dog to Kingdom Come with the slimes. So that's just a note, a footnote, so to speak. So there's this little conveyor belt. It's kind of just annoying. It kind of just wastes time. Demon hunters can bypass this whole thing with just being demon hunters. But at the end of it, there is a button to turn off all the vents. Now the vents don't hit as hard as the fire in Atal Dazar. I'm sure you guys are aware of the fire in Atal Dazar, claiming a lot of your party members' lives, or maybe your life. But if you get hit by multiple of them, they will hurt. And if you don't have like a movement speed bonus, or like movement speed something, being on the conveyor belt, you're going to get ticked a lot. So you can actually take quite a fair bit of damage. But I don't think you could die to them. I'm sure you'll like panic and fall off the conveyor belt before you actually die to the flames, and then just have to start all over again. But so be nice. If you're the first one through, click the button, save your party. So as I said, like I mentioned earlier, that you can't skip a lot of trash in this dungeon, or else you'll be low on percent, and that you want to be very particular on which trash to skip, right? Unfortunately, this scenario is not one of them. So just to keep in mind the big ones, in this first pack, there are Tinkerers. They're not dangerous by themselves, but they're the ones who cast the exploding squirrels at you. I believe they only target range, so if you're a range player, you can bait them out. But the squirrels have a large AoE radius, and I think that's what got our tank here, and our warrior. So it's a huge area denial, and just be smart with it. If it does target rate, if I'm correct in my assumption that it only targets range, then yeah, just bait it out and then move. Don't get hit by it. This is the first really dangerous thing, like pack though. MK3s are of the devil. Like if there is something that lets you skip MK3s, which with this route lets you skip 2 MK3s and the last pack with another 2 MK3s right before the last boss, you want it. Because MK3s do a massive AoE pulse, as you can see. It's like Trample from the second boss Underrot, but on steroids. So as you see, when we first did it, we darknessed, we popped defensives. We didn't want to get hit by that because it is fortified as well. So that is your priority. MK3s need to die fast. The next pack, the pack on the bridge before King has like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like gnomes that pop up a shield that you can hide in when the MK3s are going off. It's a 90% reduction, which is great, but sometimes they don't line up with the AoE pulse. So if they don't line up, then you're just kind of up shit's creek without a paddle, and you don't want to be there, right? That's not a place you want to be. And sometimes AoEs can kind of just destroy the shield too, and then you're in trouble. So yeah, MK3s of the devil. This boss, not that bad. There's a frontal. He does a pizza pie slice thing. Just go to the side that isn't lit up and you won't get electrocuted. Yeah, so don't stand in front. Go to the safe spot. So next is another kind of gauntlet. This one, if you guys have run this, it's super annoying because there's usually like 1 or 2 people who can't get through like the first time, and then they get frustrated, and you're just waiting for them, and it's the worst time waster ever, especially if you're trying to go fast. So just take the pillar, drag it through, save your whole party the trouble, right? Because if you get a bad like rotation, I guess, of the bots, you're sitting there waiting for them to waddle their butts out of the way so you can run through. And then some people try to like cheese it, and then they fail. You can blink. You can blink if you're a mage. You can blink. I believe if you're a demon hunter, you can leap as well. But you can't dash. So I think it's only a vengeance. I think vengeance can do it, and like hunter or warriors can do it, but not havoc demon hunters. I don't know. I might be wrong. But yeah, just save yourself the trouble. Drag the mini boss through. That's what the pillars are for. Effectively letting you skip stuff that is a hassle. And then now you're on to the pack. So this is what I wanted Lust on, basically, was this boss, because even if it's not Tyran, that boss there's a lot going on with this boss. But before that, as you can see, there's that shield that pops up. 90% damage reduction. You can go in there. You can basically ignore the Tinker's exploding squirrels, and just, even if it's underneath you, like, it'll do no damage. Just be wary that, you know, if the shield's about to go down and then the explosion happens, you're gonna die. So you want to be in the shield. You don't want the ads to be in the shield because they benefit from the damage reduction too. So make sure that you have the pushes, knocks, things like that. A worst case scenario, kill the shield, and then if you're not using it, and then, you know, and then kill the ads. So for this boss, we have Lust up, so we're not gonna do the pillar first. You don't take this pillar anywhere, essentially. With this route, you need the rest of the mob count on this side before you fly over to the bridge. So we're just wanting to put Lust down on cooldown because we also will get another Lust on King, essentially. So we want to get Lust on cooldown. As I said, this boss has a lot going on. Like, it starts off slow as he starts adding like mechanics onto his fight, and then it kind of starts getting crazy. So first off, there's the gears that are just bouncing around. They're like the Trollin shells. And then there is a plant, quote plant. It's pretty much a turret that pops up that fixates on a person and then like peppers them with like Gatling gunfire, and you need to kill it. They are stunnable, so, you know, to stop the damage. So if you have a stun, if you have hard CC, you can take the plant out and then kill it. Then, as you just saw the ring around the rosy with the fire. When the plant is killed, it starts spewing oil, when that fire mechanic hits, as you can see, it turns that oil into a flame fountain that basically takes that quadrant and turns it into fire. So as these plants keep popping up and as you're dodging gears that are coming up, the soft enrage, I'm putting this in air quotes, is basically having so many plants that you kill and have turned into like flame fountains that you just don't have places to stand, because those flame fountains are just spewing fire everywhere, as you can see. So you really, really, really want to kill this boss as fast as possible. As a range, it sucks because there's so much movement in this fight, and you really can't cast. So that's why you want Lust for this boss. It's just you're trying to get through this as quick as possible. Now there is an achievement for this that I think it's like a ready for rating achievement, where if you don't get hit by anything, then you get the achievement. So probably want to do that in lower difficulty, maybe like an M0. Or if you're a real baller, just do it in your keys if you don't already have the achievement already. But now we take the obelisk. It's just a slime. A thing that you can do is if you just run, the eyes will follow. They'll basically snap to where your position is. A rogue can go in first, cloak himself, and then vanish, and it deactivates the eyes. And as long as nobody touches the eyes, you can just kill the slime and then you can get out because you're not in combat. We didn't opt to snap the eye stalks though, because it's Sanguine. So if they were off by just a little bit, and they didn't die all at the same time, they would just heal up and then they would stay there, and then we have to snap them again. So just a side note there. But tank, while we were doing the eye stalks, was just kiting around. The slime can't really kill your tank, so he can just take the slime off to Narnia, because the slime drops, basically picks people and drops these puddles. I was trying to figure out in this run if the puddles were percentage based, and I think they are, because they just truck. Like I don't know how else to tell you. Like if the slime in like Toldagor are like very confined spaces, like Waycraft's Manor, like the puddles itself can just kill you, just like walking through. A little nook that I actually had no idea was in there. I don't know if this really served a benefit to like drag it over here. I don't know, but it was nice. It's there. Use it if it comes in handy. But yeah, then we just take these. It's the same bots from the same type of mob from the little scenario, I guess. Don't stand in the front. That's pretty much it. They don't have the AoE though. That like blocks off. So they'll just pick a person, have a frontal, don't be in front of them, or else you'll get silenced for a really long time. Actually, I think it's like 8 seconds. I want to say 8 seconds. And they do a ton of damage. So since we haven't skipped anything, pretty much anything up until this point, this is where all your count basically culminates, and you can skip the last section, because this last section is probably the scariest section. As I said, there are 2 padding MK3s and then 2 MK3s side by side at the top of the ramp. So with this percentage, like with this route, percentage works out perfectly, where you only need these 3 neutrals, right? So the back one just needs an interrupt, like just range interrupt, or just make sure so that they pull it back and then you don't aggro the padding MK3, because it kind of gets close. You don't have a lot of room here because it is Tinker, so just focus on the Tinker so that you don't have exploding scrolls, but again, you do have 2 shields. So you can utilize that if you're ever in trouble. And then after you take these 3, you're basically just going to kite whatever it is, it's a spider this week here, all the way into the king's room, right? And your percentage will be 100% perfect. So yeah, just make sure that the real danger here is area denial from the exploding squirrels. Make sure you take the tinker down so that you don't have a problem with the room, right? And do not body pull the padding MK3. So with this, spider in general, wherever the spider ends up being, but spider in general, what I usually, if you are just killing the spider there, or if you're not taking it with the last boss, or you don't have the ability to kite the spider very far, I like to trees the little ones and then have the tank taunt the big boss, and then we just run, right? It gives a time, like there's literally no reason to kill the little ads, because given enough time, they'll just explode and kill themselves. So you don't waste the DPS, like if you want to pad, I guess, but there's literally no reason to target the little ones, right? Make sure you're just interrupting it. If you don't have enough interrupts, there are 2 things. If you have somebody that can do curses, you can let the lingering doubt go through. It'll do damage, it'll do a curse, but then if you have somebody like a druid, decurse them and you're fine. If you have somebody that does poison, you can let the pestilence one go out, and because it'll do damage, and then they can just get cleansed from, oh, it's not poison, disease. It's a disease. So if you're running double range, or if you just don't have enough interrupts, that's kind of a way to get the most value of what you can let through. Ideally, you don't want anything to let through because it can kind of truck. And if you don't have a way to dispel the curse or the disease, you might be in trouble. But with all that said and done, this is the final boss, King Mechagon. This first one, like this first phase, he has 2 phases. His first phase is pretty easy. So if you have lust here, I wouldn't, because all you have to worry about is dodge the bots and pop a defensive for his Giga Zap. That's pretty much it. On Tyran, it does quite a bit of damage. So again, try to have something. If you're, I'm a Boomie, pop Bark if you don't want, like if you want to keep DPSing. If you don't want to pop it into Bear, right? If you don't have Bark, pop it into Bear. Just help your healer out. But basically, these zappy boys will target everyone, like each player. So you can bait them in a position, and basically just dodge. When you get targeted by Zap, it will follow you. So don't try to run away. Like don't run over other people. So you want to be, like for the range and for the melee, you want to be spread out so that there's nobody behind you. So that if you do get hit, like if you get targeted by Giga Zap, only one person is going to take damage. It's a lot easier for your healer when they know who's getting targeted, so they know who it is they need to heal. But after that, everyone gets stunned. He transitions to phase 2. It's pretty much more of the same. The zappy boys are still there, so make sure that you're dodging them. His Giga Zap turns into a huge line, right? So as the same, here's the Giga Zap. You want to not be strafing left and right, just in case you run over. If you have to dodge the zappy boys and you are targeted by the zap at the same time, because that does happen, dodge forward or backward, right? Because if you dodge side to side, it's very possible, like there's a high possibility that you'll run over somebody with your Giga Zap, and then your healer's playing catch up. The next item mechanic, or the last item mechanic, is that magnetic pulse. It does less damage the further away you are, so get away from it. or you're just gonna get ticked down. Like, it's exponentially more damage the closer you are to it. So yeah, it's not a good time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's for the rest of the boss fight. Continue dodging the zappy boys. Do not run over your party with Giga Zap, and then make sure that you are running away from the magnetic, like, looks like a tuning fork. I don't know. Sorry, it's a weird analogy, but just looking at it, it looks like a tuning fork. But this would be on Tyran weeks. This would be the place in phase 2 where I would lust. Now, as soon as he transitions, he does the magnetic pulse pretty soon. So I would wait until the first magnetic pulse before lusting, and that's probably like my one tip for that. If you're wanting to find out where to lust on that, phase 2 after the first magnetic suction, that's it. But that's the loot. We got nothing. We got a really shitty weapon, but there was a socketed ring with leech. So anyway, guys, that was the run. Hopefully you enjoyed it and maybe even got some tips for your own runs in the future. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed these types of videos, and I'll make an effort to make more of them in the future. If you want to catch these runs live, I stream over at twitch.tv/Sangka almost every day, where we run M+, Mythic Raid, and do all things WoW. But that's it for me for today, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.